Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching us from. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of HR Digest. Effective compensation and benefits management is our discussion for today. And as usual, HR Digest is brought to you by Sadat Consult with support from FA Impressions. Kindly contact FA Impressions on 024 352 6781 024 352 6781 for your branding and printing needs. So welcome wherever you are watching us from. Please drop your name and where you are watching us from in the comment section and let us acknowledge you as we usually do. We are glad that you could join us and share the link with your friends and colleagues. Let them also join and benefit. You know, this is a learning platform, so sharing is caring. Let us share and get more people to also learn from this platform. So we are talking compensation and benefits management. And today we have one of the best when it comes to managing compensation and benefits. We are talking about how you can put in place the right strategies, the right policy, and ensure that your compensation and benefits management system is on point. This afternoon, we are privileged to be joined by Kojo Vaness, who is a strategic human resource management consultant, specializing in organizational development, performance management, compensation and benefits management, change management. Kojo is not new. For those who know Sadat Consult, you know Kojo very well. And so we will not talk much about, but one thing we need to understand is that when it comes to compensation and benefits management, he's an expert. So he's the right person to have this conversation with. He wears so many hats. That one I will not mention. When he comes and he wants to mention those hats, he will, so that you know. But for me, I see him as somebody who always loves to share knowledge and everything else. And so, Kojo, welcome to today's edition of Sadat HR Digest. As usual, we are happy to have you. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Kojo into the studio. The way you are clapping for yourself. Right.
I'm the ladies and gentlemen.
Abna is here. Haliku is here. Thank you, watching from Tamale. Thank you, Haliku, for joining us. Thank you, Abna, as usual, for joining us. We are glad you are joining us. In the course of the discussion, please, if you have questions, you have comments, please don't hesitate to share them in the comment section and we'll pick them up from there. Kojo is a busy person, so we'll zoom right in. Portia is watching us from Tema. Thank you, Portia, for joining us. So let us know where you are watching us from and let us acknowledge you duly. Right. We are talking about compensation and benefits management. I know that this is a very touchy topic in the practice of HR, but help us understand compensation, benefits. Sometimes we hear them being used together. Sometimes we only hear compensation and salary and all that. Help us understand the terms. Compensation and benefits. Are compensation different from benefits? How are they related? And do they go hand in hand?
Okay, so let me start by acknowledging your viewers and your social media community members. So good evening to us all. Good evening to everybody watching. Anybody connecting from wherever it is that you are. It's an opportunity and it's a great time to be here to discuss such a topic. Yes, so compensation and benefits. Like I normally do, I'll try as much as possible not to use theoretical or make references. I'll try to be practical as possible. So anytime you'll be able to understand or relate to the definitions we give. Okay, so compensation and benefits. Basically, every single person that works at a place, there's an agreement between you and the person who employed you to come and play a certain role. So the role that you have been asked to come and play, and then the period it's been agreed for you to play that role. The money that you return for playing that role is what we call the compensation. So compensation basically is the direct pay you get for the work you do. So that's your compensation. Now, when we talk about benefits, benefits are indirect payments you get for being part of the company or probably for the role you play or the position you occupy. So, for instance, you work at a place and they give you medical insurance. The medical insurance is not a compensation because it is not pay for the work you do, but it's an indirect pay you get because you belong to a company that is subscribed to a medical insurance company. You work at a place and maybe they give you options to buy stocks. So at the end of the year, they give options for you to buy stock. That is a benefit. When you are, they give you maybe paid leave or they give you certain other things. Those are not directly linked to the work you do. So it's not payment for the work you do, but then they are indirect, let's say, incentives you get as a result of being part of that company or being part of that business. So that's the difference between the two. Now, if you're defining compensation and benefit management, what it's basically saying is that you have to ensure that at every point in time, your compensation and your benefit, your compensation is competitive in the market. That is what we call management on compensation and benefits. Always ensuring that your compensation is competitive in the market, and then your benefits keep changing in relation to the needs of your workforce or your employees, which means that something that used to be a benefit 5 years ago, when situations change, it no longer becomes a benefit. For instance, if you had gone 3 years or 4 years ago, work-life balance was not really a big thing in Ghana. But because situations have changed post-COVID, now when people are going for interviews and they are supposed to negotiate their compensation and benefits, they are actually negotiating a work-life balance as part of it. So as the workers or the employees' needs and lifestyles are changing, benefits are also supposed to change to suit this new lifestyle. So basically, the definition of it or the explanation of compensation and benefits management is ensuring your compensation remains competitive and then your benefits change in relation to the change in the needs of your employees.
Wow, it's interesting. So we don't have like static or ones for a lifetime benefits when it comes to manage. If you want to manage it well, you want to consider your employees and the times that are changing.
Yes, I mean there are some institutions that over time you realize that your workforce you are getting are probably very young, very reproductive, and so you realize that at every point in time your female colleagues or your female team members are always going on maternity leave. They come back. As a result of that, you can have a benefit and even have a nursery as a company. So that but then before, it might not have been a problem because then you would have had parents or people who are close to menopause who were working with you. So it wasn't really a bother. But because the needs of your employees have changed, now it becomes necessary for you to have a nursery as a benefit. So yes, over time you need to, if you have a company that is very static with its benefit, what it means is that you will not be able to attract a certain caliber of hires because now they will ask themselves, okay, so if I come here and I give birth, what happens to me? How am I going to juggle between this and that? But if they realize that, okay, this company takes care of this company makes provision for this, before paternity leave was not an issue. But now companies are talking about paternity leave because benefits are evolving. So yes, it can't be static. It's supposed to be dynamic. It's supposed to evolve.
Yeah. Let's quickly clarify this. So if you talk of compensation, are you also are you saying the same as, is it the same as salary? Because we hear salaries, but I didn't hear you mention anything like that.
Yes, basically, well, terminology in those days when HR started and we're talking about personnel management and the rest, the terminologies used those days were using a lot of salaries and all that. But over time, the terminologies have changed, so they are used interchangeably. Some organizations also, when they speak about salary, they are probably speaking only of basic pay. I'm sure along the components of it, but some people talk about base pay alone. Some people talk about base pay and allowances and add them together. So it's safer for you to talk about compensation than to use the word salary alone. But then if you use any of them, it's really not a problem.
Right. Thank you. Yvonne says, welcome, facilitator one, no size. Hey, Yvonne, thank you. Thank you, Yvonne. Yusuf, thank you for joining us. It says, Honorable Kojo. I don't know where that is coming from. Okay. Said excellent. Thank you. All right. So thank you all for your comments. Kojo, let's look at what constitutes compensation and benefits management. What are the components of compensation and benefits? Maybe we can give us those and then we'll be well.
Okay. So when we talk about compensation and benefits, as a package, some schools of thought say that it's made up of 5 components. Some say 3, some say 4. But at least I'll give you the main 4 that cuts across all of them. There's what we call the base pay, or what we call basic salary. So that is basically, if you're working, if I'm calculating your hours worked, the wages you get for the period worked. That is what we call the base pay. So there is the base pay. There is what we call the incentive pay. Incentive basically it's more like tying something to achieving a goal or achieving a target or achieving a production output. So it's incentive. So it's not something that is always assured. You get it when you achieve something or when you hit a certain target. So we have incentive pay. We have what we call the benefits, which we have described earlier. So benefits, you can have health insurance benefit. You can have a retirement benefit. You can talk about, let's say, cars, having a car allocation. Those are all benefits you get. Then there's the last one that I would mention called either the payoffs or the time offs. So if you're going on maternity, what is paid to you? If you're going on leave, when you are paid your allowance, even though you are not working in the period, you're going on vacation. Some people pay for paid vacation and all those things. They are the ones we call the time off pays. So these are the basic 4 components. Of course, with time, it's evolving. People are changing it, but the basic 4 that you would get anywhere are the ones I've listed. A compensation and benefit policy or strategy or system should have a base pay, should have an incentive pay, should have a benefit in there, and should have a time off in there. Once you have these 4, you are confident that you have a good system in place.
Okay, right. So it means that within our organization, is it that all organizations usually will have these, or some would only focus on just the basic salary or the base pay, and others, and people may not enjoy it?
So, the truth of the matter is that the truth of the matter is that because now there are more hands chasing for jobs than there are jobs chasing for hands. So we have a lot of employers forgive me, but we have a lot of employers exploiting the situation and just giving people just base pay. So it's a reality we need to face. There are companies in there who are just giving base pay. Yes, some base pay are really, really good. So it's not a problem. I mean, if you're working and you're getting a base pay of about $20,000, you really don't care whether there's benefit and the rest in there, because you can take care of your benefits and everything from that one. I mean, when you convert, it's about 300,000 Ghana cedis a month. That's some good money for you to be able to do some things. But if you are working at the place and they tell you, well, all the base pay you're getting is 800 Ghana cedis, which is the reality on the ground, 500 Ghana cedis, and it's in that same amount the person is supposed to use for transportation, you're supposed to use for feeding, you're supposed to use for all those things. It's a bit of a problem, but you can also look at it from just one side. You also have to look at it from the productivity level of the employer also. At the end of the day, how much revenue is the employer making for you to expect that he pays everybody 2,000? So it's 2 sides to look at it. But ideally, it should have all these components to make the company attractive and a place every hire would want to work.
Right. Thank you. So we are talking about effective compensation and benefits management. So let me ask, before we move on to talk about the other issues, what makes compensation and benefit effective or ineffective? Can you help us understand that? Because
Okay.
I focus on effective and for a good reason.
Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, when you talk about compensation, what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to make the company competitive. And so, if your compensation and benefit or your compensation system does not make you competitive, then it means it's not effective. For it to make you be competitive, what it simply means is that it's supposed to motivate the employees to want to do more for the company to progress. Ordinarily, people will say that, well, my salary, whether I work or I don't work, I would get it. So what's the big deal? Yes, that's true. So if you have incentive-based compensation, where compensation increases based on people's performances, then what it means is that over time, people will be motivated to want to work, because the more you work and hit your target or achieve the things you're supposed to achieve, the more you get paid. And the more you get paid, the more you're able to take care of certain personal needs. So what it means is that there becomes a healthy competition in the company, getting people to work extraordinarily, and that's a good effect for the company. The company eventually now gets to overproduce or overperform, because the constituents or the employees are performing extraordinarily. Again, if you have an effective compensation and benefit system, an effective one is one that is transparent. And if it's transparent, what it means is that it encourages trust. If the employees have a trust that the system that is in place is effective, it treats everybody fairly, everybody has an equal opportunity, everybody understands what it means to move from one level to the next level. If it is that open, everybody trusts the system. When people are trusting the system, it means they would wholeheartedly perform to be able to move to the next level. If they realize that they cannot trust the system, HR or management at their own whims decide that, okay, this person deserves to go to the next level, but this same person who was performing like this person does not deserve to go there, then now everybody starts to say, oh, here cries who you know, oh, here it's if you can kill yourself, nobody will see you. That's why people start saying, oh, does this place belong to your father? We've done everything we have to do, but we are not going anywhere. So for it to be effective, the first or the key thing is that you should communicate trust. If your compensation and benefit system does not communicate trust, then you have a big problem. If it does not communicate transparency, then you have a very big problem.
Right. So transparency, trust, competitiveness. All right. So on the transparency bit, Kojo, isn't it that mostly in organizations you're saying that your salary or your compensation is supposed to be private, is supposed to be your secret, and nobody else is supposed to know? How does that fit into the scheme of things based on what you've just said?
Okay, so how much for every employee working, there's an agreement between the employee and HR or management, and that information is confidential. So how much I'm paid, my medical record, my everything, it's confidential between myself and HR. In this part of our world, we sometimes joke with everything, but in some other jurisdictions, if any information about an employee leaks, they can take the company on. But here, they can just get your pastor or your imam to come and beg on a Sunday, and everything would be would be okay. And so, yes, that's an agreement, and it's one supposed to be of confidentiality. What I'm referring to is the structure itself. If HR has a policy on compensation and benefits, the policy is supposed to be known by all. Everybody should know in the company how many levels do we have in our salary structure. What does it take for me to move from one level to another level? What does it take for me to move laterally on a particular level? What does it take for me to be able, if I get to a certain grade or a certain level, what are the benefits available to me because I am there? These are open information, transparent information everybody should know. So if I know that, okay, if I get to grade P4, when I get to grade P4, I'm entitled a car, a saloon car. I see you, Patricia, get to grade P4, you get your saloon car. When I get to grade P4, they start giving me excuses. Then I start having a problem. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I get to grade P4, I should get a saloon car. or I realize that Patricia got to grade B4, she's getting an SUV, and I got that they are giving me a saloon car. I would ask, why is she getting this and why am I getting this? So there is that transparency that we are talking about. If it's communicated to everybody, the structure is there. I don't need to know who is on what structure or who is on what grade. But if we know that this is the structure for the company and this is the policy for compensation and benefit, once there,
Right.
once I am working and aspiring, I know that, oh, I want to be here. So this and this is what I need to do to be able to get there, basically.
Right. Thank you. If you've just joined us, this is HR Digest brought to you by Sedat Consult with support from FA Impressions. You are talking about effective compensation and benefits management. Kojo, let's look at when you say if for a compensation and benefit management system to be effective, it has to be competitive, it has to be transparent, and it has to communicate trust. Now, if you have a system like this, which is effective, how will it benefit the organization? What will be its impact on the effectiveness of the organization?
Okay, so I mean, for the impact or the benefit, I'll just mention maybe two. There's really going to be a lot of harmonization of employees. The one thing you cannot afford to joke with is employee bonding, where employees feel belonging to each other. Employees feel to feel like their contribution is respected or appreciated by the organization. If you take that for granted, you would have machines working for you. People who do not feel any sense of belonging of the company, they just come, they are sitting down waiting for 5 o'clock to knock on the clock, and they just pick their bags and they are going. There's no sense of belonging because they don't see themselves to be part of the business. And so if it communicates trust, if it communicates transparency, everybody feels like my contribution to this company is being respected. I'm being compensated for my contribution to this company. If I want more, it means that I need to contribute more. If I contribute more, I would move to the next level and then I'll be compensated more. So it gets a very harmonized employee or workforce for you. And if you get a harmonized employee and workforce, what it means is that it will be very easy for you to meet the company to meet its strategic, financial, or whatever goals it has. I mean, if everybody is firing all cylinders, at the end of the period, you really don't need to worry about your marketers are selling, your customer service people are delighting people, your accounting people are writing the books well for you to make your profit. HR is employing people properly and managing them properly. Audit is doing correct auditing for you. Administration is making sure every logistics you need is available for you. Everybody is working as if the company belongs to them. If that is what happens, then eventually the company would not even have to struggle about thinking about profits because it would come automatically because everybody is firing all cylinders. And it would make the company a going concern, a sustainable one, because it would be left for the next generation to also come and benefit from the efforts of this current generation.
Wow. Thank you. Vera says, Kojova makes this so easy and interested. Thank you, Vera. Angela says, brilliant presentation. Employees need to hear this, especially these private institutions. I tell you. And Portia says, please,
you always hear it. You don't want to listen.
Please, the 4 components again. I recall base pay, incentive pay, payoffs. Yeah, I think Fred mentioned it.
Benefits.
Yes, benefits. Yes. Thank you. Let's see. Portia says, awesome. Ebenezer says, thank you for this. Well done. Fred says, wow, impressive, boss. Okay. Keep your comments coming and your questions coming as well. So, Kojo, you have helped us. In fact, we have understood how important it is. But yeah, sometimes, like you said from the beginning, we have to look at both sides. It depends on the ability of the organization too. Sometimes I don't think it's intentional that organizations are not paying or giving out some of these benefits as they should. But the most important thing we said, the transparency, we should be there. This is it. So you do it for everybody. It's not like somebody is treated differently from the others. And that is when you have the problems arising from these ineffective practices. But of course, if you can afford it, it's always good. It's your own good benefit as an organization to treat people well and give them good money. Okay, right. So let's then look at what the steps are in developing effective compensation and benefits management system. Is there some basic things we can do to get it right? Because from what you have said, it's good for us as HR people for organizations to get it right. If they are not getting it right now, what can we do? So help us understand what is involved and the specific steps so that we can also make a good business case to our employers to come up with some of these things.
Okay, so I'll just touch on them because I'll be facilitating the training on a similar topic. If I say everything here, they won't come. So I won't say everything here, but I'll just tease our minds around it, so we would at least have an idea what to expect when the time for the training arrives. Okay, the first thing every person or every employer or every HR person needs to identify or understand when you want to talk about compensation and benefit is what is the philosophy you want to play with. That is where it starts from. What is your compensation and benefits philosophy? Are you intending to be somebody who your company should be the one that is leading when it comes to compensation and benefits? So you are the company that everybody wants to point to, that Charlie, the way they are paying at this company, I want to work there. Is that where you want to be? Or your philosophy is that you want to match the industry average? So when you pick all the companies in the industry and you do a survey, what the average salaries are or the average compensations are, that's what you want to match. Or you want to be a lagging one. For you, you would always want to be at the bottom. You really don't aspire to be at the top. You really don't want to be in the middle. You want to be at the bottom, but you use other benefits to encourage people to want to come to your company. These are the three key philosophies you need to have at the back of your mind when you are designing or you are beginning to have a discussion on compensation and benefits. Because it is that will direct you as to which angle to take. If you want to, there are institutions that have agreed that for me, my salary is not the best. I'll give an example of one because it's no longer in existence. I used to work there. I used to work ProCredit. Anybody who knows ProCredit knows it. ProCredit was not aspiring to be the highest salary payer. No, it was aspiring to be lagging. But what ProCredit decided to do to get a lot of people attracted was to spend a lot of money in learning and development. So it can spend every money it has to train you, take you out of the country. To people who are going to Mozambique, people who are going to France, people who are going to Germany for a whole 1 year, 2 year programs to equip them and bring them back to the company. And because of that added benefits, people really didn't pay much attention to the salaries. Of course, it has its negative effect. Because when you have people right from school, they would always want to come and work here. But after 3-4 years, when they have gained a lot of experience, they feel now I need more, so they would leave. And it's a philosophy you need to understand, that you would always have people for a maximum of, let's say, 5 years, and you lose them. So always have a program in place, bringing in fresh blood, bringing in young people. That should be your philosophy, if that is where you want to go. If you want to be the one matching, then what it means that at every point in time, you should be paying attention to people's salary increments they are doing, so you know how to do to continue to stay in the middle. And if you want to be the one leading, then it means that you always have to do things that people would aspire to want to be like you. So for you, you're always looking at nice ways to get people to want to work with you. So things that nobody has thought about, you can think about it and implement it. So the first thing for you to do is for you to know what your philosophy is. That's the first thing to know, your pay philosophy. The second thing for you to know is find out in your industry, who are your competitors? Which people are your benchmark competitors? We call them benchmark because they are the people you are going to compare yourselves to. And so I said that which other people, other companies offer similar services like Sedat. They are the ones you're supposed, because they are the ones that if you are going to lose your employees, you are going to lose them to those companies. So it's best that when you see these companies and you're able to benchmark yourself against them, you can say that, okay, with what I am paying, I won't lose my employees. With what I'm paying, if I lose, I only lose to these two. But these two are already having enough staff, so they don't come for my employees. So it's very important for you to identify who your benchmark companies are. So that's the second thing. The third thing you need to do is you need to be sure of the worth of every job you have in your company. So you need to evaluate the worth of every job, and that's what we call the job evaluation. So if I know that, okay, in this company, the value I get from my HR manager is higher than the value I get from my finance manager. The value I get from my administration manager is lesser than the value I get from my head of audit. It makes it easy for you to rank the roles or the jobs in your company easily and be able to know who should be more senior than the other person. So that's the third thing. First one is to know your philosophy. Second one is supposed to be a benchmark company, that's the salary surveys. Third one is supposed to be able to do your evaluation. Then fourth one is for you to be able to build a structure. From this information you have gathered, you should be able to build a salary structure. Like I mentioned, I'm just giving the points, but when we come, if you're able to come for the training that we'll talk about later, we'll be able to go into details on how to do these things. To be able to prepare a salary structure, and the fifth one is to place people on the structure. So basically, if you're asking me to give you the various steps for designing a system, a compensation and benefit system, this will be the generic one that I can give off head. Thank you.
Compensation and benefit philosophy, knowing your benchmark competitors, and then knowing the worth of each job within your organization, building a salary structure, and placing roles on the structure.
One key thing, the knowing the worth, it's I like how you put it. It's knowing the worth of the job, not the people.
Yeah.
But if you know the worth of the people, what it means that if that person leaves, when a new person comes, you start thinking about what. But if you know the worth of the job, then you'll be able to place it properly. So it's not the person you are evaluating, you're evaluating the job. It's important for us to understand that point.
Right. Thank you so much. Okay, I think, Fred, I don't know whether it's a question you are asking or it's a contribution. Please clarify if it's a question. Right. Vera says, beyond being able to afford, top management commitment to ensure transparency, motivated staff, and impact on bottom line, as mentioned by Kojo. Okay, so Vera is emphasizing some of the things Kojo has already said. First is the question. So Kojo, let me try and see if I can get the question right. He says, with this presentation made, is it that employees don't seek for this as well when going for a job interview? So most organizations feast on that. Could you, I don't know whether you get the question.
Maybe I get an idea what he's saying. So let me see how best I can explain this. There are various approaches to compensation. From the top of my head, I don't remember. I know one of them is traditional, something. There are about, I think, 3 or 4 approaches. There are some companies, when you are going for the interview, already they know the worth of the job. So it doesn't matter how much you say you want to be paid. Yeah. It doesn't matter. The worth of the job is this job you are coming for. It's a 5,000 Ghana cedis job. So once you come for it, if you are successful, it's 5,000. Whether you want 20,000 or not, they'll tell you it's a 5,000 cedis job. So those ones are there. Even when they are publishing the job, they tell you that this is your salary expectation. If you know it is too small for you, don't apply. If you know it is too big for you, apply. So those ones are there. There are other jobs that when you come, based on how you deliver and based on how you negotiate. So yes, I think it's called a negotiated approach. Based on how you negotiate, it will determine where to put you. So there's actually, and when you come, they negotiate with you where you are coming from, how much you are losing and how much you expect is what will determine where they are going to place you. So there's that approach also. And then there are some also, no matter what it is that you mentioned, try as much as possible to want to cut it down so that in their heads, they are saving for the company. In actual sense, they are actually causing more harm because after just 3 months, the person joining realizing that The other people I'm working with are getting higher than I'm getting, but I'm doing more work. They will leave and go. And you go back to the market to go and hire again, and it will cost you. So it depends on which approach the company is using. But then it's most often people do the negotiated. For international companies, they already have the set standard there. So they let you know that this job is a P3 job. If it's a UN job, it's a P3, it's a P4. If you are not okay with it, don't apply for it, basically. So that would be the bit of response I'll give to Fred, if that is the question he's asking.
Yeah, I guess so. Thank you. Sana says, very impressive, Kojo. Thank you. Wilfred has a question. Can you differentiate philosophy for different levels of employees? Kojo, over to you.
No. So you see, the other things that you do, it's called you are doing it behind the veil. Behind the veil. When you're doing behind the veil, you are not looking at anybody. You are behind. It's like when you're going to get married, the woman is behind the veil. So all the vows you are saying, you are not looking at the prettiness or the beauty of the woman. No, you are just giving the vows. It's after that they'll tell you to roll it and see if that is your wife. If you give the vows to the wrong person, sorry. And so when you are developing your philosophy and your structure and everything, you do it behind the veil. Don't assume that, hey, because this person occupies this role, if I do it like this, it will affect him. No. You do it and pretend you are ignorant of any person that is occupying the role. And then after you built that, then now you can start putting the people on it. If you realize that somebody has been put on a role, the person deserves better. You can do what we call the father of salaries for that person. We can talk about that one later. But you don't have to have different philosophy for every person. Again, what we are talking about is compensation and benefits philosophy. So not necessarily performance philosophy, where you can have a different philosophy for everybody. So Wilfred, that's my response to you. The philosophy when it comes to compensation and benefits, it's the company's philosophy. It's like the vision and the mission of the company when it comes to salaries or compensation.
It means that it's leadership, top management that determines the philosophy, or
yes. So top management determines it, but yes, HR, because HR is the expert, HR advises on it, gives the pros and cons for all of them, and top management will say that, okay, this is what we want to go with. Philosophy can change over time. We can start a company, and at the beginning of the company, we say, okay, we want to be the lead. So that's the philosophy. After about 10 years, realize that now we are where we have gotten to, we have all the best. So you decide, okay, I don't want to be the lead again, I want to match. It's up to you. So you can change it, but you can't change it for the people in the company. Well, that's my point of view anyway. So
I think it's fair. Thank you so much. Right. So if you have just joined us, this is the HR Digest brought to you by Sadat Consult with support from FM Impressions. We've said a lot. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, Kojo, you will help us understand whether employees have any part to play in determining compensation and benefits for any organization. So please stay with us. We'll be back in just a while. Don't go anywhere.
Right. Hello, viewers. My name is Kojo Vaness. Hello, viewers. My name is Kojo Vaness. I'll be your facilitator for the compensation and benefits training, which is on the 27th and 28th April, organized by Sadat at the Crystal Palm Hotel at Tesano. This is going to be a time for HR practitioners to have hands-on experience on how to design a compensation and benefits policy, how to design the payroll, how to even design a salary structure. We have done this training for the past 4 years, and I can confidently tell you that every single person that has participated in this training currently is able to design their own payroll, design their own salary structure, and do not entirely need any consultant. So I encourage each and every one of you to register. You can look down there, you get the information needed to register. Make the call Sadat, and let's meet on the 27th and 28th.
Thank you. Welcome back. Yes, indeed. For more information, you can visit our website, www.standardconsultlimited.com, and you'll get the information. You also get the link that you can register. You can't afford to miss this. Testimonies, if I'm in church, I would say testimonies, but it's still testimonies. Kojo said it right. Anybody who has participated in this training has been able to do that. And they have freely shared their testimonies with me, and they are on our social media platform. So you can also visit our social media platform, Standard Consult Limited, and get the details. But you need to register to participate. I'm sure Kojo will give us more information in the course of the discussion. Yvonne says, good presentation. Thank you. Now, Kojo, let me ask, in determining benefits and compensation, do organizations require the input, or must they take input from employees? And if they must or they should, what do they benefit from? What will help them? Why do they need to get input from employees? Because they have built their company and they say that, okay, I'm able to pay this, I'm able to pay that. Why should they involve employees? So first, should they involve employees? And secondly, why or why not?
Well, considering the fact that the HR manager is an employee, so I'll say yes, you involve employees because you're involving the HR manager. Considering that the head of finance is an employee and he would have to tell you what budget is available. So yes, you would involve employees. But I mean, on a more realistic note, it's a yes and a no kind of situation. Yes, because if you work in an organization that is unionized, if you have a union in place at your organization, you cannot afford to do a compensation and benefits system without a union rep in the team that is working, because a union rep is the representative to ensure that there is transparency and there is fairness. The assumption is that if you leave an employer on their own, they will do what is in their interest. And so the union rep is supposed to be there to ensure that you are doing what is in both the interest of the employer and the employee. So in that regard, yes, it's very important that you have a representative. Else, you will not have acceptance by the whole company. So when you're going to do a salary survey, once you have, there's supposed to be a team that is supposed to evaluate the proposal that you receive. You're supposed to have a union rep in there to know that, okay, so 10 companies brought it. This is the best one that we all decided to use. This is the timelines the person has given. This is how much we are charging for the person. If the person the company brings the responses and is being evaluated, the union, not necessarily in the detailed discussions, because those ones are a bit technical, but the union is supposed to know, okay, it has come, and then the philosophy we want to do is this, that, and that. These were the companies we benchmark. They are supposed to have an involvement in that. Now, the no bit is because when it comes to compensation and benefits, the technicals field. It's not a generalist kind of point of view. And so if you do not have people who understand what it is that they are doing, you would end up setting up a system that after a short period of time, it will start crashing. It will start failing because you do not get experts to do it. And that expert knowledge is technical and not just everybody has it. So when it gets to the point of even how to calculate your structure to be able to get your midpoint, to be able to get your differentials, to be able to get your steps and your gaps and all those things, it's not for lay people. It's not layman. It's technical. So for those bits, you don't need employee involvement. You need an expert to be the one to handle these things for you. If the HR manager is an expert, you can do it. If it's not, you need to engage a consultant who is an expert. And I'm sure if you come for our training, by the time you'll be done, you would realize that you're an expert to be able to build it yourself. So it's a yes and no kind of situation. There are instances that you need to bring them in the selection of the company that would go and do the survey, in the determination of the benchmark companies and all those things. You need to bring them in. But when it gets to the time where you are preparing the structure proper and doing your calculations and the rest, that one is purely an expert point of view. So you do expertise.
Right. Thank you. How time flies when you are having fun. So Kojo, I will let you talk about the upcoming training and then give us your final words at the same time so we can can
Right.
end the
So my
discussion.
final words is about the upcoming training. So it's good for every HR manager, every HR person to know the basics of compensation benefits, to be able policy, to be able to build your own system, to be able to do your own job evaluation and all those things. It's very good. If you come for this training on the 28th and 29th, you would be equipped with the skills you need to be able to do this training. Like was mentioned in the short video, we've done this training for I think about the past 4 years, and all the people that have passed through the training today are able to design on their own, which ordinarily should not be something that we would like, because for consultants we would want you not to be able to do it, so you come to us and we charge you. But because we fear God, so we are equipping people to be able to do it, so that as an HR, your contribution to the company would not always be give me money to go and do this. But now you can tell the company that it would have cost me $100,000 or $30,000 to do this, but I've done it for you and saved you $30,000. That is how we create value for our company as HR professionals. So 28th, 29th at the Crystal Palm Hotel at Tesano. I think 2 days. Yes, let's all make time and be there for this training. It's very interactive. It's very, very practical, and it's very entertaining. Would mix laughter and seriousness to just let you all value the time being there. Thank you very much, Patricia, for the opportunity. Thank you to all your viewers on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Thank you very much. Somebody's asking for the price. Patricia, how much is it again?
Is 1,160 Ghana cedis.
1160.
Yeah.
Hey, sir.
The 2 days.
They'll eat inside of that money.
Yes. You
The
know,
room is air conditioned. They'll have snack. They'll have water.
And there will be buffet lunch.
Training material.
Yes.
Hey.
No, you know we are God fearing, so yeah, so. So thank you everybody. Yes, Kojo is interesting. Yes, Abna says he's really very, very interesting. His other nickname is Abojise, and I'm sure you can see why. So thank you everyone for making the time to join us today. We'll come your way again next week with another edition of the HR Digest. We know you have learned a lot. It doesn't end here. Let's keep learning. Let's keep improving. Let's keep investing. There are some HR practitioners who have been attending our training programs that they are paying themselves to attend. Others who the organizations pay for them. But most of the time, you have people paying for themselves to attend because they see the importance and the value in developing their skills. So whether your organization is paying for you or not, please make it a point to register and participate. It's happening. Please, it's in April. It's not March. It's the 27th to the 28th of April. So it's not short. No, it's Portia. It's not March. It's in next month. So you have ample time. Okay.
Oh, okay, I didn't mention the April. Portia, yes, forgive me. I'm preparing for the Easter mood, so that's how come I forgot. Please forgive me.
Yes.
Portia, so it's April.
Yes. So we'll see you all. Thank you. Kojo, as you always, thank you so much for the insight you have shared with us. We really appreciate you. And it tells me how osofully you are. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again, God willing, next week. Enjoy your week and have a productive week as well. God bless us all. Bye for now.
Hello, viewers. My name is Kojo Vaness. I'll be your facilitator for the compensation and benefits training, which is on the 27th and 28th April, organized by SEDAT at the Crystal Palm Hotel at Tesano. This is going to be a time for HR practitioners to have hands-on experience on how to design a compensation and benefits policy, how to design the payroll, how to even design a salary structure. We have done this training for the past 4 years, And I can confidently tell you that every single person that has participated in this training currently is able to design their own payroll, design their own salary structure, and do not entirely need any consultant. So I encourage each and every one of you to register. You can look down there, you get the information needed to register. Make the call Sedat, and let's meet on the 27th and 28th.